it's my honor to to act as the chair of this forum. I undertake this role with deep sense of responsibility to foster meaningful interactive dialogue and cooperation. I am delighted to welcome you all of you, whether in person or online, for the commemoration of the International Day of Human Fraternity, which was called by the UN General Assembly, the international community, through its resolution. I remember it's A/Res/75/200, which was adopted in December 21, 2020. This resolution serves as a reminder of the vital importance of the historic document of human fraternity for world peace and living together. Signed in Abu Dhabi on February 4th, 2019, by His Holiness Pope Francis and Sheikh Ahmed al-Tayyib, in the presence of religious leaders from all over the world. This resolution serves as a reminder for the vital importance of the historic document of human fraternity for world peace and living together. Signed in Abu Dhabi on February 4th, 2019. As I said before, this resolution invites all member states, relevant organizations of the United Nations and other international organizations, and civil society, including non-governmental organizations, private sectors, to celebrate and observe the International Day of Human Fraternity annually on 4 February every year. The General Assembly resolution invited all member states in order to focus on this issue on an annual basis, as I said. And today we honor this resolution and reflect on the profound impact of the Abu Dhabi Declaration, emphasizing collaboration and world peace and living together. It's great to be here with you all, whether you are joining in person or online. I am thrilled and ready to help make this event engaging and informative and fruitful meeting. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me end my opening remarks. Allow me to bring your attention to the following facts. As we celebrate today the Day of Human Fraternity, and unfortunately the phenomena of intolerance, hatred, extremism, terrorism, conflicts, and wars are still rising and spreading all over the world, despite of the United Nations strategies to undermine extremist ideologies and reduce the global appeal. The adoption of several resolutions issued by the UN Security Council the UN General Assembly, and the UN Human Rights Council to combat intolerance, extremism, and eradication terrorism. This phenomenon still spreading. And despite the Declaration of Principles on Tolerance adopted by the UNESCO on November 16, 1995, which emphasizes tolerance along with the key initiative to promote global tolerance, the spirit of intolerance and extremist phenomena persist and escalates their activities in different parts of the world. That's why the main objective of this forum is to call upon the UN General Assembly for the adoption of International Decade of Tolerance and Human Fraternity for the period of 2025 and 2035. This initiative seeks to explore and build upon key United Nations resolutions that promote peace, tolerance, and a dialogue among all cultures. We urge the UN General Assembly to adopt a resolution for this initiative. It encourages governments, civil society organizations, and religious leaders to work together to foster inclusively, mutual respect, and cooperation. By strengthening tolerance and combating intolerance, hate, and extremism, and eradicating terrorism, so we can make significant progress. During this decade, which we aim and to work to succeed in our initiative, we should adopt comprehensive strategies. What I mean, the international community should adopt comprehensive strategies for more tolerant and peaceful society by addressing the root causes through enhancing educational system, promoting critical thinking, tolerance, and as well as the economic development initiative to alleviate poverty and provide opportunities for youth. Addressing the root causes of these phenomena required not just policy changes, but also a cultural shift towards mutual understanding and engagement and respect. Education, economic development, and community engagement play a crucial role in this transformation. Over the next 3 hours, we have a remarkable lineup of speakers who will share their insight and experiences. They will delve into various aspects of tolerance, including how to promote multicultural education, address conflicts peacefully, strengthen mutual respect and cooperation, combat intolerance and hate, eradicate violent extremism, and build inclusive communities. We are honored to have an esteemed panel of today's speakers. In the first session, we have Madame Anna Louise Thompson Flores. She's a director of UNESCO office in Geneva. And we have Arben Ramkaj. He's chairman at the Interreligious Collaboration Center. Mr. Pablo Demere, president of the International Institute of Diplomacy, Switzerland. We have Sarah Markovich, we are waiting. She will be here within 10 minutes. She's a senior advisor of interfaith dialogue at the Interparliamentary Union. After the break, we are honored also to have other 4 speakers, distinguished panel of speakers, started by His Excellency Aidarus bin Qasim al-Zubaydi, Vice President of Yemeni's Presidential Leadership Council and President of the Southern Council. He's President of Southern Transitional Council. And then we have Dr. Thomas Renard. He's Director of International Center for Counterterrorism. We thank him. He came from Netherlands for this meeting. And also we thank Arben for coming also from Tirana. We have Azza Karam, Dr. Azza Karam, as a third speaker. She is a member of the UN Secretary General's High-Level Advisory Board on Effective Multilateralism. Okay, so Madame Jade McLachlan, Executive Director of OIMA, and she is former serves at the UN and the UK government. يسرنا أن نقدم لكم ضيف الشرف الشخصية السياسية الرئيسية في جهود السلام في اليمن، عيدروس بن قاسم الزبيدي، نائب رئيس مجلس القيادة الرئاسي، رئيس المجلس الانتقالي. الرئيس عيدروس الزبيدي شخصية سياسية رئيسية في جهود السلام في اليمن، تم تعيينه نائبا لرئيس مجلس القيادة الرئاسي اليمني في أبريل 2022، مما يعكس تأثيره الكبير في المشهد السياسي، كما يشغل منصب رئيس المجلس الانتقالي الجنوبي الذي أسسه عام 2017. يعتبر قائدا مركزيا للحركة الجنوبية، ويلعب دوره القيادي كان لدوره القيادي أهمية قصوى في تحقيق الاستقرار والمصالحة وتسهيل الحوار في ظل التحديات المستمرة في اليمن. شغل سابقا منصب محافظ عدن للفترة من 2015 إلى 2017، وواجه العديد من الهجمات الإرهابية، ولعب دورا مهما في تحرير عدن ومحافظة الجنوب من القاعدة وداعش. في يناير 2016 نجا الرئيس الزبيدي من محاولة اغتيال من قبل داعش ISIS عندما اعترضته سيارة مفخخة بالقرب من موكبه، مما أسفر عن مقتل حارسه الشخصي وآخرين. خلال فترة توليه منصب محافظ عدن واجه الرئيس الزبيدي أكثر من 4 محاولات اغتيال، منها 3 محاولات بتفجير سيارات مفخخة نفذها تنظيم الدولة الإسلامية ISIS داعش. الرئيس الزبيدي مصمم على تحقيق إرادة شعب الجنوب في استعادة الدولة الجنوبية بالوسائل السلمية. أسهمت قيادته العسكرية لقوات المقاومة الجنوبية ضد ميليشيات الحوثي خلال اكتساح ميليشيات الحوثي من المناطق الجنوبية، مما ساهم في تحرير هذه المناطق إجمالا، المناطق الجنوبية خلال 3 أشهر. سيد نائب الرئيس، الكلمة لكم.
شكرا جزيلا رئيس الدكتور سعيد طالب مقبل. شكرا للحاضرين جميعا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السيدات والسادة، إنه لمن دواعي سروري أن ألتقي بكم اليوم، ونحن نستهل عاما جديدا بآمال متجددة في إحلال السلام والاستقرار. إن مشاركتنا اليوم معكم في هذا المنبر يأتي في إطار سعينا الدؤوب للانتصار لقيم السلام والتسامح التي نتطلع إلى ترسيخها عالميا. وقد بنى شعبنا في جنوب اليمن نضالاته على ذلك الأساس المتين، نهجا للتصالح والتسامح، واتخذ منه مبدأ ساميا نحو تحقيق تطلعاته في الحرية والاستقلال والعيش الكريم. الحضور الكريم، في جنوب اليمن نخوض منذ سنوات تحديا أمنيا معقدا ضد الجماعات المتطرفة التي تهدد أمننا واستقرار منطقتنا، بما في ذلك تنظيم القاعدة وداعش، لا جانب التحديات التي تفرضها جماعة الحوثي الإرهابية. ومع كل هذه التحديات التي تفرضها جماعة الحوثي الإرهابية، ومع كل هذه التحديات فإننا نؤكد التزامنا بمكافحة التطرف والإرهاب، ليس فقط دفاعا عن أرضنا بل أيضا من أجل أمن واستقرار المنطقة والعالم وتعزيز قيم السلام والتسامح. الحاضرون جميعا، إن قواتنا رغم حداثة تجربتها وقلة إمكانياتها تخوض معارك ضارية في مواجهة التنظيمات الإرهابية بعزيمة راسخة وعلى جبهات متعددة، وقد تعرضت في سبيل ذلك لهجمات متكررة خلال السنوات الثلاث الأخيرة سقط على أثرها 6794 ما بين شهيد وجريح، معظمهم من المدنيين. السيدات والسادة، إن الجماعات الإرهابية التي نواجهها في جنوب اليمن ليست وليدة اليوم، بل بدأت نشاطها منذ عام 1990، والذي شهد حشد وتجميع الأفغان العرب لغزو واجتياح الجنوب في صيف 1994، تلا ذلك توطين تلك العناصر في عدد من مناطق الجنوب واليمن لتشكل ليست فقط تهديدا محليا فحسب، بل صارت جزءا من شبكة عالمية تسعى إلى زعزعة الاستقرار الإقليمي والدولي. قد شاهدنا كيف استهدفت تلك التنظيمات المصالح الدولية، بدءا من الهجوم على المدمر الأمريكي يو اس اس كول العام 2000، العمليات الإرهابية التي طالت المدنيين في باريس، وهجمات 11 سبتمبر في نيويورك، وصولا إلى الهجمات الأخيرة التي نفذتها ميليشيات الحوثي الإرهابية لاستهداف أمن الملاحة الدولية في البحر الأحمر وخليج عدن. الحاضرون الكرام، إن الموقع الجغرافي لجنوب اليمن يجعله نقطة استراتيجية حيوية للأمن الإقليمي والدولي، فهذه الجماعات لا تسعى فقط إلى ترسيخ وجودها على الأرض، بل إلى السيطرة على الشريط الساحلي لبحر العرب والتحكم بممر باب المندب وخليج عدن، بما يمكنها من فرض شروطها على التجارة الدولية، تنفيذ عمليات إرهابية عابرة للحدود. أن تداعيات ذلك ليست محصورة في اليمن فحسب، بل تمتد إلى الأمن البحري العالمي وحركة الملاحة التي يعتمد عليها الاقتصاد الدولي، ومن الهجمات الحوثية الأخيرة على السفن في البحرين الأحمر والعربي إلا مثالا واضحا على التهديدات التي تواجهها المنطقة بأكملها. السيدات والسادة، إننا في جنوب اليمن نقف في الخطوط الأمامية لمكافحة التطرف والإرهاب، مدافعين عن الأمن والاستقرار الإقليمي والدولي، وذلك بدعم ومساندة من الأشقاء في دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة والمملكة العربية السعودية. ورغم أهمية هذه الجهود في حماية المصالح المشتركة، فإننا نرى أن هناك حاجة ماسة إلى تعزيز الشراكة الدولية، لا سيما من أصدقائنا في الغرب، لدعم هذه المعركة الحاسمة على المستويات العسكرية والسياسية والإعلامية. إن مواجهة الإرهاب تتطلب استجابة عالمية منسقة، ونحن نأمل في رؤية تعاون أكبر يعكس التزاما مشتركا بمكافحة التطرف وضمان الأمن والاستقرار للجميع، حيث إن ترك تلك الجماعات تعمل بحرية في بلادنا يجعلها قاعدة انطلاق لتهديد الأمن العالمي. الحاضرون جميعا، نحن في جنوب اليمن دعاة سلام ولسنا دعاة حرب، وقد ظلت العاصمة عدن ومناطق الجنوب على مدى عقود حاضرة للسلام والتعايش والوئام، وما حملنا السلاح مؤخرا إلا مضطرين للدفاع عن أنفسنا وأرضنا بعد أن امتدت إليها يد الإرهاب، ممثلا بميليشيات الحوثي الإرهابية وتنظيمي القاعدة وداعش والجماعات المتحالفة معها. ونسعى اليوم إلى تأمين مناطقنا والمشاركة الفاعلة في حفظ الأمن والسلم الدوليين، ولنعيش مع الجميع بسلام في منطقة يسودها الأمن والاستقرار، ونسعى لتأسيس نموذج في الجنوب يكون منطلقا للسلام والتنوع في المنطقة، وسنستعيد مكانة عدن التاريخي كعاصمة ونموذج للأخوة والإنسانية. ختام أيتها السيدات أيها السادة الأعزاء، إننا في الجنوب وإذ نثمن دعم شركائنا الإقليميين نؤكد على الحاجة إلى شراكة دولية فاعلة لمكافحة الإرهاب والتطرف، بما يمثل تعزيز التعاون الأمني والاستخباراتي ودعم جهود الاستقرار وإعادة الإعمار وتقديم المساندة السياسية والإعلامية لقضيتنا العادلة. كما ندعو المجتمع الدولي إلى تبني نهج شامل في التعامل مع الأوضاع في اليمن، بحيث يشمل دعم مسارات الحوار والسلام إلى جانب الجهود العسكرية لمكافحة الإرهاب، وأننا نطمح مثل سائر الشعوب إلى مستقبل يسوده السلام والديمقراطية والتعددية بعيدا عن العنف والتطرف. إن معركتنا ليست مجرد معركة محلية، بل هي جبهة متقدمة لحماية الأمن والاستقرار العالمي. وأن إذ نؤكد التزامنا بمبادئ السلام، فإننا نؤمن أن الدعم الدولي المنسق والفاعل سيكون له الأثر حاسم في تحقيق الأمن والاستقرار في بلادنا. نسأل الله أن يعم السلام والاستقرار والرخاء على بلدنا الحبيب وعلى جميع شعوب العالم. شكرا لكم جميعا، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكرا فخامة الرئيس على كلمتكم الرائعة. As a result of all our speakers' statements, OIMA is trying to carry out an initiative to combat or to eradicate the root causes of all these phenomena by pushing the adoption of the initiative of International Decade of Tolerance and Human Fraternity with other stakeholders. We cannot do it alone, of course, but if there is any other stakeholders, organizations, states, member states, to push for this initiative, that would help us within 10 years, because it's long-term work. So we can say we can succeed in combating this intolerance, extremism, hatred, and so on, which is like which cause or to lead to lead to the conflict and to spread of terrorism acts, terrorism organization, and so on. As a result, I think it would be the best is to go step by step for this aim or objective. I think we came to the end of the statements, and we have still 40 minutes. It's good that we can open the floor for interactive dialogue. And before that, we have mentioned that there is discussion topics as a result of all the statements, and those related to all what was said by our colleagues, by our speakers, that discussion topics for session 1, we have 4 points, and other 3 points on discussion. The main topic attract me is examining the link between intolerance, hatred, and violent extremism. This is one of the main, and we can take also to compare, in order to understand the root causes, to compare we can select the most top countries, who take, I think, who has good practices in good practice in tolerance. For example, they take several steps in practices of tolerance among their societies and among other societies as well. And also there is countries who that intolerance, extremism, hatred dominate on the practices of the society, among the societies, due to the activity of some extremist groups among that, especially in MENA region. For example, if we can take Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, whatever, Sahel region, a lot of. So if we compare between those two tendencies, we can reach also to the outcome on how to eradicate this issue in this, especially in least developed countries in LDCs. The door is open for anyone would like to speak. Yes, ladies first. Something regarding what was asked about the steps that has been taken by the UAE. You see, according to my understanding, there is 8 million foreigners from 200 nationalities living in peace and stability in the UAE. There is a lot of steps that has been taken by the UAE. For example, the first country who appointed ministry, established Ministry of Tolerance. There is also, they announced it 2019, I remember it, a year of tolerance. They have issued laws counter terrorism, counter intolerance, counter hatred. So they took that tolerance as illegal to put and to push for legally, not only. So I read also that, you see, nationally and internationally, there is a recognition by His Holiness Pope Francis. He said about this that Abu Dhabi he considered Abu Dhabi as the world's capital of tolerance and bridge of communication and confidence between people and cultures. That means, if it was said like that, and there is a lot of internationally also, we try it was my to say that, to compare. For example, we have a lot of countries who take several steps, like Switzerland, for example, New Zealand, Canada, Singapore, Netherlands, Sweden, a lot of countries who had taken several steps in working on against counter extremism. In fact, Netherlands, we have Thomas who worked very hard through his institute. You see, there is a lot of activities in Europe, in different countries, in Asia. Bhutan itself, it's a very small country, but if you go and to look at Bhutan, you can see there is a lot of, in Singapore, different nationalities, different groups and so on, but they, different religions and so on. So there is a lot of positive activities. Meanwhile, in some countries, especially we focus on LDCs. When we follow up the issues of LDCs in Sahel region, in the Horn of Africa, in Afghanistan, in Yemen, we see that the extremist groups, the extremist ideology, the brainwash of children, like in Yemen, as our colleagues in brainwash of children started from schools, from the curriculum in the schools, from mosques, from then camps. You see, they brainwash and they push for hatred, sectarian hatred. I don't know why this type of ideology becomes more dominated in these countries. Now, for example, you can see the Muslim Brotherhood in Yemen. They have their ideology, and they do to push for extremist tendency. The Houthis themselves also. They have done a lot of, now they destroyed in fact, they destroyed the young people, the children. Millions of children now, they became victims of the Houthi policy. In all cases, that's why we try to call for international decade of tolerance and human fraternity in order to help those countries, especially in the crisis LDCs, where is conflicts, where is spreading of terrorism, terrorist ideologies, extremists, and so on. That's our aim, and it takes a long, as they take a long period to build these extremist ideologies. We need a lot of time also to eliminate this type of ideologies. Thank you. So, any of us would like to raise to comment? Yes, please.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, this is Yamos Khanyar, the Executive Director of the Youth Center for Dialogue and Peace. As you mentioned, you need to ask a question from some other countries. I'm from Afghanistan, and I just saw that you have activities in Afghanistan. So I just want to know what you have done the last 3 years, since we all know that what's going on inside the country. So I just want to know your insights.
And thank you for this question, and we are very pleased. By the way, we had a volunteer from Afghanistan several years ago. We try to do our best. You see, LDCs, our mandate is regarding LDCs, and there are 45 countries. It's not so easy to take all those countries. Thematically, there is a lot of issues we have to tackle. Just like, for example, SDGs, 17 SDGs, so it's not so easy for the organization. What we could do for Afghanistan, we have participated and given written statements in the Human Rights Council. We have given several oral statements during several sessions regarding the situation of the women in Afghanistan, of the children, what Al-Taliban, as this ideology of Al-Taliban, it's destroyed the Afghan society. That's what we could do yet. We hope to continue in the future with your cooperation. Thank you.
Because when it's come to human rights, most of the organizations emphasize about women's rights. They never indicate the right of young men. Because I just received a research that in the northern Afghanistan, they just started recruiting the young men to join the ISIS. Because for them, it's uncertainty, it's the frozen conflicts. Either they have to join these groups to feed their families, or they have to flee to the third country to be an immigrant and send back the money for the families. So we have to emphasize more on young men rights as well.
Thank you. You see, I understand, and we look at this issue carefully, because young men, not only in Afghanistan, they have been attracted by the terrorist groups. They use unemployment. They use that's happened in the LDCs mostly due to the poverty. So they try to attract them, to recruit them, you see, and then they became in the hand of these groups, and so they found themselves involved in terrorist attacks and so on. And that's why we called for this international decade for tolerance in order to eliminate this extremist issue and to eradicate terrorism. I see, Pablo, you want to say something?